When I first went down in 2000, it was shortly after Hurricane Mitch, which came in and just totally devastated all of Honduras, and it tore up any infrastructure that it had going. It just totally wiped it out. So that was my first trip, and since then I think I've been down there probably 6 or 7 times. So it started out, I went as a student myself, and then ended up going just as a volunteer the following year when I was out in practice, and then after that started leading trips down there. Chris Wanko, the first time she went was last year in 2008. And she came back and just started speaking to some of the pharmacy students, and before you know it, there was a whole list of students. Matter of fact, I had to cut off how many students could go.
It's an easy starter mission trip because you're not sleeping in a tent somewhere. You get to take a hot shower at the end of the day. You have a nice bed to sleep in. You can kind of almost go back to America at night and then go back out into this world. And I think that some people need that it probably attracts people who wouldn't normally go and do a mission trip to go and do a mission trip, just because it's not just, pushing you out there and kind of saying, good luck, survive. This is something that I wanted to do before I got to pharmacy school, and I was just glad that there was an opportunity for us to do it.
I'm from Egypt, so I really want to set up something like this for Egypt. So I thought this was a good opportunity to learn how it works and how it functions.
I went into an oncology ward for men, and it was just something that you see in a horror movie where you just see a bunch of beds in a room and people are just, they look like they're just there waiting to die. We asked them, do you know what kind of cancer you have? And they said, I don't know. I just know I have cancer. One of the patients, we asked him, when do you think you'll be leaving? He said, well, I don't know, but I'm leaving tomorrow to practice my goodbyes. The division between the haves and the have-nots is very striking. I mean, you will have the large vice president's house next to a tiny little shack. They do have a mall. I mean, they do have, sections, but it's just odd because it's interspersed with some of these very, very poor areas as well that don't even have running water.
When the people in these little communities hear, somebody's coming, they will line up and they will wait patiently until they're seen. So if we get there 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, many times there's a line all the way out that just keeps going and going. So you walk into set up and you're already overwhelmed because you know that there's so many people that need to be seen and that sort of thing. Los Pinos is one of those really needy areas. And when we got up there, you couldn't see the end of the line. It just kept going and going and going, and it just kind of curved around. The thing we did different this year, which we hadn't done before, was we adopted a child and took the child out to lunch. Half of the group went to McDonald's and half of the group went to Pizza Hut. And then later that day, we went around to some of the communities that they're actually from and delivered these food packets. And the food packets are enough to feed a family of 5 for an entire week.
There's one area that we went to, it's a shack, no bigger than this room. And there's just this one single mom with 10 kids.
Where they lived, it was really, really poor. Like when I saw my kid that morning, I never could have imagined my kid living in that house.
That just kind of struck you that, the same child that I just took to McDonald's that I thought was just, a fun lunch, might have been the only meal that child had for the entire day. Plus, it probably was the first time that child ever went to McDonald's.
Every house, we said a prayer, with the family, whoever the head of the house was. Sometimes it was a mom. Sometimes it was just the oldest sibling. You could just tell, how appreciative they were. The woman I gave my food to, she just grabbed me, and hugged me. And I was like, I didn't even do that much. You don't even have to do that much to make an impact.
Later that week, we helped with the compassion feeding program for the kids that are 2 years old to 12 that are malnourished. And we gave the kids clothes that came to this program. And again, we were seeing a lot of the same children that we took out to lunch. And then at the end of the week, the children wanted to do something for us, so they put on this little singing and dancing and that sort of thing. And so we saw these kids that we had taken to lunch on Sunday, went and delivered food to, and then fed a lunch to and gave them clothes, and saw them at this program where they were wearing a lot of the clothes that we had given them. So it was kind of like coming full circle, and it made you realize what an impact you had just on this one child in their life. And what was fun about that was the kids were just so grateful. They were so appreciative, and like during the program, when they weren't singing, they'd run up and they'd sit on the lap of the person, who had adopted them. And 9 times out of 10, the girls were with some of the pharmacy guys, and the little boys were with the pharmacy girls. And a lot of them have one parent, if that. So I think the students made a huge impact. Like, maybe my mother's not around or my father's not around, but here's somebody who really cares about me and is concerned about me. And it was very moving.
When they were doing their little program, I started crying. I was bawling, because I was like, wow, this might be the last time I'm ever going to see this kid again. It's like, okay, we came here for 9 days, made their lives better for however long it was, and then that's it. So you start thinking about, like, what else can we do that's more long-term?
When I first went down there, I remember when I first came back, it was almost like I was depressed because I thought, they need me down there. It was like being taken out of a society where you knew that you were making a difference in these people's lives, and then you're kind of thrown back into, surrounded by, you have everything you could possibly want and more.
It touches everyone in a different way, and how you decide to keep it a part of your life, whether it's telling someone else or being a part of it in the future, is up to each individual. And I've already had a lot of people who were excited about it for next year.
I'll probably do this again next year, if not somewhere else. All of us, I think, know that this is something that we want to do again. We've already talked about, let's go to Africa or let's go to India and Egypt and things like that. I think we all kind of know that this is not the only trip that we'll take.
Anybody who's able to do it, I really recommend it. Before I went, even though I was really excited to go and everything, I was like, but when I do this, I'm not going to have a spring break. But honestly, it was probably one of my most fun, memorable spring breaks.